Hello, friends. Welcome and thank you for joining us today. Lou is with us, but I think his mic is
No, I'm
muted.
okay.
You're
No,
okay? All right,
I'm
good.
okay for now. Once we get started, I'll mute it a little bit so I can take notes and not disturb anybody here.
All right, great. So, we're going to be talking about something that is very close to my heart today. And this is a very valuable and important part of the Gita. It talks about 20 qualities of a wise person. A wise person doesn't mean somebody who has the intelligence of physics, chemistry, mathematics, history, not that kind of wise. Wise meaning the wisdom and the knowledge of having reached or about to reach, on his or her way to reach, the God within each one of us. So for those, because I know some people just sort of start at any time, for those of us who might just be joining us, I'm just going to repeat that according to the Gita and the Upanishads, we ourselves consist of our body, which is matter, and God, which enlivens this matter. And that God in Sanskrit is known as Atman. And so a wise person is one who gives up his attachment to the body and to the mind and to the intellect. These are the three aspects, material aspects of ourselves that we tend to rely on most of the time. Body, we know. Mind is the one that has the emotions and feelings. And intellect is the one that has the decision making power. Should I do this? Should I do that? Is this good? Is this good? So, this today, what I'm going to do is to give everybody an introduction to the 20 qualities that Krishna says make up a wise person. Now, just so you know, what we did so far in the previous episodes is talk about the matter, the field, the kshetra, as he called it in Sanskrit, the field, which is our body. And Krishna says that the entire cosmos, everything in the universe, including our body, is made up of 24 elements. And we went through this in the previous episode, so I won't go through that again. But those elements, those constituents, those parts of our body, if we were to die, those elements still exist. Body's lying on the floor, it's dead. Those elements haven't gone anywhere, they're still in there. What is missing is the consciousness, the life portion. And that he calls the knower of the field. So we are the field, the body is the field, and the consciousness is the knower of the field. In Sanskrit, it's kshetra and kshetragnya. So the body and the kshetra, the entire cosmos, consists of 24 constituents, which we've gone over. And the seer, the one who sees, the kshetragnya, the consciousness, the knower of the field, is the one that he's going to be talking about. So what he did was in chapter 13, the first few verses, if you remember, up to 13, up to 11, he talked about the kshetra, the field, talked about the body, everything that you needed to know about the body, its constituents, what it's made of, etc. Then he talks about 20 qualities of a wise person. And after that, he goes to talking about the kshetragnya, the seer, the knower of the body. Now, why does Krishna do that? Why does he include these 20 qualities between the body and the consciousness? Why did he do that? Because if it was that these were, when I was taught, I learned that these are the 20 qualities of a jnani. Jnani is somebody who has knowledge. I was taught that these are the 20 qualities of a wise man. What I have since understood from other swamis is that these qualities, 20 qualities of a jnani, are present in you, my friend, in me, in every human being. But those qualities are obscured for a number of reasons, which we will go into. And when they're obscured, they don't show themselves. And in order to become, here's the key, in order to become a jnani, a wise person, somebody who gets to know the kshetra, the kshetragnya, in order to get there, to be a seer, to be a knower, you have to polish these 20 qualities which are already within you, which are blocked by your arrogance, your pride, your false thinking that you know so much, that you're so wealthy, so you're so superior, all of this. If you can wipe out, it's like a mirror, that if you can wipe out, or your headlights of your car, clean it off, only then you can see more clearly. So he's telling you that these are the 20 qualities. And this is why I find it so important, because as you go through these 20 qualities, mark this. This is an important episode that I'm going to be talking about today. And then the next ones are very, very important. What I'd like you to do is, in the 20 qualities, there will be one or two that strikes you as something that you can be familiar with, something that you think that you can identify with and you can bring out and polish within yourself. Right? When I was growing up at our home, we used to have brass. In India, there's a lot of brass objects. There's one right here, if you can see. There's elephant and stuff like that made of brass. And our elders used to sit us down with a polish like Brasso, and then say, here, sit down and polish this. And we used to take it as kids, myself, my cousin's piece of cloth and Brasso, and polish this until it became very shiny. So if in the 20 qualities you say, oh yeah, this one I think I can accomplish, all I request is that you take that one quality and keep working on it, polishing it until it starts to gleam. And then once you do that to that one quality, the Gita says other qualities will fall into line and you will start to see other qualities. So the other thing that you must know is that this getting these qualities or having these qualities not going to help you to get the wisdom. These qualities actually enable you to be able to learn and understand and have wisdom. Otherwise, your mind is clouded. So how do you get these? How do you also polish them? Because I might tell them to you, but as soon as you stop listening to me or reading the Gita or understanding other things, what happens is your mind switches to other things that the world is tempting you with. So in order to get past that, you have to do what is known as satsang. Satsang is the community with which you sit, people that you sit with who are like-minded, who are also into these kind of things. By talking to them, talk to people that you're friendly with. You'll find somebody who's interested about something like this. You talk to that person, you're going to be polishing that quality within you. You do introspection. Every morning you wake up, you think to yourself before the day starts, before rajas starts to kick in. You introspect in these qualities. And I will tell you with each quality what you can do to bring out this within yourself. You study the scriptures as you're doing now, as you're listening. And you pray. You close your eyes, you meditate, you pray to a higher power, God, to get you to have these 20 qualities. So the Atman, the God within you, is also known as consciousness. It is, as I said before, the kshetragnya, the knower of the kshetra, and also we call it Atman. This enables you, which is you as an entirety, to function as a living, moving, talking human being. That prakriti, that matter, which is also your body, is enabled by the Atman to act. But the Atman has nothing to do with how you act. This is very important. We've done this in many episodes before. The gasoline in your car, the petrol, allows your car to move, but it's the driver that decides how it moves. And nowadays we have electric cars. So if you know anything about a Tesla or another electric car, you know that everything's programmed into the computer. The computer can do everything. You can just plug in your address and say, I want to go from here to that address, and then go to sleep, and the car will drive you, I think. I don't know. When I bought my Tesla, I gave it up because there weren't enough electric chargers around. But at that time, it didn't have this self-drive feature. But now we've actually seen videos of people on the highway going at 70 miles an hour, fast asleep at the wheel, and the Tesla is driving itself. It knows how to do a 3-point turn outside your driveway, get you from the garage straight to your office while you're looking at your mail and your newspaper. So the Tesla has everything programmed within it, but without that electricity that it has to be charged with, the Tesla doesn't move. That electricity is the Atman for that Tesla. Our life, our brain, don't forget, we've talked about this. The mind and our intellect is programmed with certain things that has come from previous vrittis that have been carved into it from our previous lives. Those come with the same vasanas, the same desires that you've had for thousands of lives before this. So if you were in previous lives hankering after money, desperate for money, greedy for money, that vritti, that carved vasana within yourself is going to start showing itself after you get to adolescence. Excuse me. Until you get to adolescence, it doesn't show itself as much, but the vrittis, the vasanas start to show themselves irreversibly after you get to adolescence. So the desire for money then starts to show itself for one who has those vasanas from previous life. And those vasanas direct you, your computer, because you're programmed to just go after money, 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 money. And the Atman is only giving you the life in order to follow whatever you want to. You decide. It's your will that decides whether you want to follow that, be greedy, follow, look for money or not. So the Atman is, let's say, in a mirage. There is a waterfall that you see in a mirage. There's sand, you're the desert, and the mirage is there of the water falling, but that sand does not get wet by the water of the mirage, which means that the mirage is just an illusion. It cannot touch the sand. Sand cannot get wet as a result of the mirage, result of the water in the mirage. Similarly, an Atman consciousness does not get affected by the temptations of the world. Anything in the world cannot affect the consciousness at all. It's not at all affected by world illusion. So let's say in a room there is space. Now, space is not air. Space is just the distance between the four walls of the room. That's space. It can be a total vacuum and there's still space in the room. You say, how much space is there in this? It's length by width by depth, and you take the volume of that and you say it's so many cubic feet of space, which is a vacuum. There's no air in it. Now you fill it with air. You fill it with air, that room, and that air could be foul smelling or it could be pure and smelling fresh. Either way, the space is not affected. The space is the space. It remains no matter what air you put into it. You could put helium into it. You could put oxygen. You could put anything you want, any gas, but the space is still the space, or in a vacuum. Similarly, the Atman is the Atman. No matter what your thoughts are, your deeds are, what you do with it, the Atman is not affected. So to the extent that you're affected, you're not spiritual. Keep this in mind. To the extent that you're affected by the world, greed for money, power, fame, beauty, all of these things, to that extent, you're not spiritual. So if you're 100% affected by the world, 100% attracted to the world, then you're 100% not spiritual. But if you're 0% affected to the world and its temptations, you're 100% spiritual. Your mind is completely pure and clean and able to be used for spiritual purposes to get to the Atman, to get to the God within you. So as you develop your intellect with this knowledge, my friends, you become less and less affected. That's the beauty. As you learn this, as you practice this, as you go to satsang and you meet with like-minded people and you do your introspection and you study these scriptures and you pray, this becomes greater and greater importance to you, and you start to learn from it. It starts to affect you, and you start becoming less affected by the world. So now you may say, what is the connection between the kshetrajna, the consciousness, and the body and the mind? Aren't they the same? Because I say, I am me, right? And I am me. So am I not my body? Am I not my mind? So let's say I have this computer right in front of me, and I say, this is my computer. This is my computer. It's not Lou's, it's not yours, it's not his. It is my computer. What does that mean? that means that I am saying that I am different from this computer. The fact that I'm saying this is my computer, I'm saying the computer is not me, right?
Right. Right.
So if I say this is my body, then there is something else other than the body that is acknowledging that I'm not the body. Therefore, this is my body. I am not the body. Similarly, I say this is my mind. I think it, I feel it. I felt pain in my mind. I was tired. My mind couldn't think. My mind is different from me.
Right.
This is my intellect. My intellect craves for fame, for power, for knowledge. So that means I'm not my intellect. So then who am I? I am consciousness. I am consciousness, therefore I'm conscious of these things, which is my body, my mind, and my intellect. So I say that I am hot. Like Lou, you like this example, right? Where would you say I am angry or something
Yeah.
like that?
It's the difference between saying I am angry and I feel angry.
Right.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying here is that when I say I am hot, it is not I that is hot.
No.
Because if I say I have this body, I have this computer, then I am not hot. The computer gets hot, yes, but I am not hot. Similarly, my body gets hot, I am not hot. My mind may get the emotions of anger, my mind is angry, I am angry. If I am the consciousness that enables me to think, to feel anger, then I am not angry. The
Right.
mind is angry. I don't have knowledge of the scriptures. My intellect has knowledge of these scriptures, and that intellect then carries it on to the next life that it has. So, with knowledge, you can separate. Until that time, it's very hard to separate from knowledge and knowing these things and your emotions and your physical feelings as the body, mind, and intellect on one side and the Atman on the other side. With this knowledge of spirituality, you can separate it. And once you separate it, your mind becomes very clear and you're able to think of these things. So there is, in Hindu mythology, there is a goddess known as Saraswati. Saraswati sits on a swan. And every god or goddess has been given a bird, an animal, a being on which that god or goddess sits as his vehicle to move from one place to the next. So why was Saraswati depicted as having a swan? And the reason is Saraswati is considered the goddess of knowledge. And Lakshmi is the goddess of wealth, and Saraswati is the goddess of knowledge, and she sits on a swan. Why? Because mythologically, a swan, Saraswati's swan, this is a known concept in India, that a swan can separate milk and water. So if you take a bottle of milk and you pour a bottle of water into it, you shake it up, you say, well, this is still milk. It's very dilute, but then you can't separate it. But a swan can separate milk and water, is what the mythology says. So Saraswati sitting on a swan suggests that Saraswati can separate the aspects of whatever is connected with the body, mind, and the intellect, and um, the Atman. A self-realized soul is already the Atman, and he recognizes that he is not the body, mind, and intellect. In fact, a self-realized soul looks upon his body as the body of somebody else, doesn't see it as himself. So let's talk about consciousness. If consciousness is everywhere, as we've said, there is Brahman, God, Atman is everywhere, then why do you say it's only present in ourselves? The analogy is that of a sun. The sun in the sky, when it shines on a crystal clear body of water, it reflects itself and you see a clear sun reflecting from that sun. But if it shines on a dull surface, like a big piece of rock, you don't see it shining as a sun. You see it's bright, the sun is shining on the rock, but you don't see the reflection of the sun. In order for that sun to reflect, it's either got to be a mirror or a reflecting surface. Similarly, consciousness, even though it's everywhere, Where there is a subtle body, you remember we said subtle body is a mind, as you have, I have, and an intellect. That subtle body reflects consciousness as life. So you notice that I have a mind, I have an intellect, I have a body, and I have Atman, the consciousness, the worldwide consciousness, universal consciousness, shining on my mind and my intellect, and I'm therefore able to speak. And I appear like a living body. If I were to have a heart attack right now and drop, my body would no longer have that life within it, and the consciousness would not be reflecting off my subtle body, and therefore I wouldn't be able to speak. So these qualities are necessary in order for my mind to be calm, and only then can I gain the knowledge. This subtle body and its consciousness is blocked from arriving at the awareness that we are self realized souls by the fact that we are confused and directed towards the world. So, when, for instance, one of the qualities is absence of pride. One of the first qualities is the absence of having pride within
Mm-hmm.
yourself, being proud that you're rich, you're famous, you're beautiful, whatever it is. When you understand through this knowledge the futility of pride, for example, there's 20 of them, you become humble. When you become humble, your pride goes down, your confusion with who you are really goes down, and then you can allow yourself better to separate the Atman from other worldly attractions, and therefore you can focus more on the Atman. So that's what we're talking about. And these qualities are all interrelated. Practice those qualities, as I said, that inspire you, and you'll gradually grow onto the others. So I think that's all I had to say. In order to do this, the mind and intellect, as I said before, has to be clean and pure. And that's one of the qualities of the 20 qualities of a jnani. And when you're clean and orderly, punctual, all of these things that we will be talking about, you're able to see the kshetrajna, the I am, that you can focus your attention on. Tat Tvamasi, you are that. So these 20 qualities we'll go over starting next time. We'll do 2 in the next episode, and then the rest after that. Actually, this gives you, I would say, this is a huge component of your knowledge of the Gita. A lot of things. There's 700 verses here, 18 chapters, but these 20 qualities, if you know them, a big part of the of your task is behind you.
All right.
So
So take notes here and then move on to episode 122, I think is next, right?
123 is next, I think.
Okay. And we'll